Crystal Tower Information Whiskey 21530 Zulu, wind 060 at 5.
076 Mike Juliet, this is departure radar contact.
Hazardous weather information from Minnesota available on flight service frequency.
You've dialed in the Flying Midwest Podcast, connecting aviators from across America's heartland, sharing news, information, and events from around the region.
Calling Nancy 53 on Overtower, Roger, turn left heading 070, runway 9er, clear for takeoff.
Sit back, relax, and join our crew for some hangar talk as we discuss a wide variety of regional aviation topics.
Departure 71143, flying flight, runway 28 left, push takeoff, left hand south first.
And now, from our home at the Anoka County Blaine Airport, our checklist is complete, and we're ready for departure for another episode of the Flying Midwest Podcast.
Contact departure on your flight.
Well, welcome everyone to this episode of the Flying Midwest Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jim. I'm joined tonight by my co-host, Maddie.
Hello.
And the one and only Badger Pilot.
Hello.
Coming to you from his set dug underneath the Badger VOR. I think we should remind people that a set is what a Badger calls his home. So.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I figured underneath the Badger VOR because you guys burrow, don't you?
We do burrow. And set is a nice double meeting because now that we're putting videos up on Patreon, it's like a video set too.
Oh, there you go. I see what you're saying. Speaking of Patreon, we want to give you an update on what we've been doing on there. So we've got all this backlog of interviews where we've had to trim them up a bit here and there for time. And they're in a video format already. So as I've been playing with some video editing in the background here, we started to create a few, full-length interviews that we've put onto our Patreon page. So we created Patreon a while ago. It's been kind of inactive just with just how busy we've all been. But we're bringing that back, and we want to invite all of you to come and join us on Patreon. We have 2 full exclusive interviews up already. One is with Ben from the Midlife Pilot. The other one is from, was it Jeff? Oh, the other one is from Julia Echo Foxtrot, our cheese curd tacos are. Those are both pre-AirVenture interviews that parts of those hit the cutting room floor, so we have the full interviews up now. Can expect more of that from us where we will put full interviews up in the future. As well as we're going to bring back some of our other content as far as some blogs and things like that. So, anything you two want to add on that?
No.
Oh, way to put me on the spot, Jim.
I didn't have anywhere else to go with it, and I thought that I was talking too much.
I mean, I can plug my own personal Patreon as long as we're talking Patreon.
Very funny.
So we do have a number of tiers available for people who would like to help support us on the Patreon and get access to that exclusive content. The lowest one is just $3 a month, and this is a podcast that we put out largely for free, but there is certain expenses that we have to cover to keep this thing running. So any little bit helps us out. So the lowest tier being the monitoring CTAF level at $3. Up next is FBO line crew at $5, turbofan at $10, and then we've got in the flight levels, which is $20. That is the one that has the most perks and benefits, including you can basically pick one item out of our merch store, and we'll give that to you for free. Well, not for free. You're becoming a member, and that's part of the package. Plus, ongoing merch discount codes, things like that. And I want to take a special moment and thank our current members who are at our top tier level. So, in our top tier of in the flight levels, we have Kimberly, and we've got Delbert Lowe, aka the Burns Bug Smasher. Is that what he called it? Bug Smasher? Bug Batcher? He smushes bugs with his airplane down in Kansas.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's what he wanted to be called when he first contacted us.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can get behind that because I'm all about being called things other than my name. So.
Perfect.
Yes.
Anyway, please help support us on our Patreon and get access to all that new exclusive content we're putting out there.
We'd also like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Ryan, who has joined us in the FBO line crew tier since Oshkosh. So thank you, Ryan.
Yay,
yeah, thank you, Ryan.
Welcome, Ryan.
As long as we're talking about members, I also want to say a fond see ya to paying patron, the bigger pilot? Oh, the Badger pilot. What is this? All right, we'll see ya.
Yeah, so I was actually the first patron, I think, for the Flying Midwest podcast.
You were.
Yes.
But I will
Can confirm.
No.
Yeah, so I will no longer be carrying the torch as the inaugural and longest standing Flying Midwest podcast patron. I just thought it was kind of clunky or awkward, I suppose, to be supporting our work. Like,
when you're already supporting our
yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm paying myself to be here.
I know. It's a pay-to-play situation here.
Yeah.
We appreciate your support regardless.
So we haven't published an episode with three of us being a bunch of talking heads since AirVenture. So I think, as is tradition, we should perhaps do a little bit of some AirVenture recap. What do you think?
It's a wonderful idea.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start by covering some things just by the numbers. Obviously, AirVenture is all about numbers every year, so we're not going to talk about the record attendance or how many aircraft were there or how many campers. We're going to talk about us. So
We are the most important.
clearly the most important aspect of AirVenture. No, at any rate, they had record numbers this year. It was like over 670,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Just a whole mess of campers. For us, we did at least 11 recorded interviews. We published like a recap / preview episode every day that we were there. So that was something that, as we went out there, we didn't exactly plan to do. That wasn't on the agenda at all, and it kind of just happened. But I think it worked, you know? I mean, we were able to kind of recap what our favorite moments were, and as we went along, and hopefully people were able to... I know I talked to one person who was listening to them on their way up and was getting pumped up just to be there. So not just because they're going to see us, but just like getting ready for the experience of being at AirVenture.
I think, yeah, we did a lot of them. We did them all on site, you know, towards the end of the day, every day. But it was
And there's
awesome.
some you can definitely tell it was towards the end of the day.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Although we were tired, we were still hyped. But if you haven't listened to them, for one, rude. Two, you should go listen to Wednesdays because it was awesome.
Oh, the ending of that one is awesome.
Yeah.
The ending is worth it.
Don't even
If it
listen,
helps,
don't even listen to the whole
I
thing,
listened
just
to it.
What?
I listened to it.
Oh.
This
I
just
know.
Well,
If you
let's
don't
ask
know,
this.
I don't listen to the podcast. I don't listen
Since
to
you've
the podcast.
never actually listened to the podcast, what did you think of the Flying Midwest podcast?
You want me to leave my formal review?
If you could leave a review also on Apple, that would be
I
really
would.
And a
I
5-star
would love
rating.
to. We'll see.
I mean, and that's not even the typical production value that we put into it. It was just like 4 microphones and a recorder
And our good lucks. No.
and a fast edit.
Yes.
That's what that was.
Yeah, no, it was good. I thought it was very well done, and obviously the end was super cool. Seeing it in real life was amazing, and I think it got transferred to the audio realm very well.
Yeah, if you're just not ready to let go of Oshkosh yet, like me, just go back and listen. Relive the memories.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the night air show, I mean, I'm just going to call it out what it is. That was the coolest part of the whole thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to I mean, there were so many awesome opportunities to interview people. We met a lot of great people that listen, but that night air show was incredible.
Phenomenal.
So the follow-up question I have to that, Badger, is you went again on Saturday, right?
Yes.
So what do the kids think of that night air show? I know they had been before.
They had been before, but it was for the Saturday night show last year with all of the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So it was nice for my family because my wife was there too, to be able to actually see a full night show as the planners intended. They were blown away. It was their favorite part, I think, of the week, probably. My sister-in-law and her family, so they left the grounds. Even the teenage kid who doesn't get amused by anything, they're all talking about, I want to come back and see the night show next year. So
Yes.
yeah.
We've converted a few more to the Oshkosh True Believers.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we've talked some favorite moments. Favorite interviews. You guys have any favorites that stood out to you?
My mom asked me this question as soon as I got home, and I spent about 5 minutes just thinking.
About who we even interviewed?
Yes, because I was exhausted.
Like, there's so many people. Where do we start?
But also, like, I don't think I could pick a favorite. They were all, like, so awesome in their own way.
Yeah. Badger?
I'm not going to say my favorite, that this was my favorite per se, because I'm in the same boat. There's so many awesome people, and there were so many great conversations. But I will say, and I fully admitted this during the interview, the interview with the F22 demo pilot, RaZZ Larson, was really the only time the whole week I was legitimately starstruck during an interview. So that was pretty cool. I will say, though, even though we weren't planning on, and we just sort of threw this whole, touch and go series together each night, that was probably one of my favorite parts of the week, because it wasn't just us. We were pulling in people from the day and getting their thoughts of the day and their summaries as well. And just hanging out with other people that are fans of the podcast and aviation enthusiasts and getting their take of things. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on all of those things. There's no one specific interview, again, that stands out as like, this is by far the number one awesomest thing ever. If there was, RaZZ Larson is really, really close, which if we haven't mentioned yet, this interview is the focus of this episode. So stay tuned for that, and we will hear that conversation we had with Raz, who is just a super down-to-earth guy, too. I mean, he's a Midwesterner. He's a super down-to-earth guy. He credits his crew a lot. So it was a good interview, but I agree, too, that those nightly recaps, bringing people in that we hung out with through the day, bringing friends of the podcast, but specifically, like, even the very last one where we brought the power of 3 podcasting crews in part together for one recap. And, like, as I look back on that one, I wish we would have done a little bit more, but, like, it was just, we were in the moment, we're having our cheese curd tacos, and we've got opposing bases, 2/3 of us and 2/3 of the midlife pilot, just kind of BSing. And the thing that was cool about that for me was, like, the intro, like, they just kind of sneak in there. So you hear these voices that you probably recognize from other podcasts. They're like, wait a minute, what's Ted doing here? Wait, is that RH? And you're like, no, it's AG. Was that AG that just corrected Ted?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Coming to our defense.
Yeah.
Sort of.
It was very nice. That was really cool. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. The content creation space within aviation is just really special. I mean, aviation community in general is great. It carries over into this content creation space too, where everyone's willing to help everyone out, whether it's sharing tips or tricks or just engaging with each other. And it's really, really cool. I'm just really appreciative of the aviation content creation community as well.
We got to talk to so many people, I feel like, this time, and it wasn't as chaotic. Like, it still was, but
it was a
little more down to earth this year, I think. That was really nice.
To me, it was nice, like, when people that we're talking to that or I at least, I think all of us probably in some respects look up to some of these people and they know who we are. That kind of floored me at times. I'm like,
you were definitely talking about Josh Flowers.
There was a couple, though. Like, you weren't there for that one. When we interviewed the OB guys, like, they've listened to us and they had some really positive things to say about what we're doing and how we do it. And I just didn't, I'm like, you guys listen to us? So it was kind of neat just to have that happen a few times. So anyway.
But also Josh Flowers.
Like, you follow us on Instagram? Why? we could probably talk about Oshkosh for an entire episode here, but anything else we want to cover on this before we... Oh, wait. There is something we need to cover on this before we move on.
So everybody knows that, sure, Oshkosh is fun, being on the grounds is fun, but it's even more fun?
What's that,
being at Camp Scholler, obviously. So Badger and I ended up camping at Scholler this year. Jim decided to skip out and be all bougie and get a hotel.
Which I will do next year, too.
Fair enough. But we'll razz him anyway. So Badger took the opportunity to do his own version of Man on the Street interviews in a little segment we'd like to call Badgering Scholler.
Yes!
An inside look at Camp Scholler.
That's better than anything I could have come up with.
And that's actually not too far off from what I was doing.
I thought about it, of you, like, harassing those German people, and
hey,
he was badgering.
That German guy, that was the first guy I interviewed. His name is Sasha, and he listens to our podcast. I walked up to him, introduced myself and who we are, and he says, "Oh, I just finished listening to your episode about the Oshkosh extravaganza." So I couldn't think of a better way to start off, but yeah, I went around.
That's perfect.
Went around quite literally badgering people, asking them what it is they enjoy about Camp Scholler, the environment, the people, all of that. And I had a wide variety of responses. All of them were positive, and all of them were having a great time, of course.
Of course, you're at AirVenture. Well, let's take a listen to Badgering Camp Scholler.
Badgering Camp Scholler.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Andrew. I'm from the Flying Midwest podcast. I'm walking around talking to people about the Camp Scholler experience. You mind if I interrupt your dinner? Take a few minutes to answer or ask some questions. And I won't consider it rude if you keep eating.
And I just listened to your podcast when I was...
Oh, no kidding! Excellent. Which episode was it?
I think the last one, where you talked about Oshkosh.
Excellent. What's your name and where you're from?
I'm Sasha, and I'm originally from Germany, but I live in Michigan, near Detroit.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool. You're the first one I've come over to talk to. That's awesome. How long have you been coming to Oshkosh?
It's second time. Last year was the first time.
Okay. And did you camp last year too?
Yes. Pretty much same spot.
Same spot. Excellent. Very cool. I see you have kind of a traditional tent setup. Is that your preferred method for camping?
Yeah, I mean, either use the camp or the tent, or last year we also had like thunderstorms, so I camped in the car or stayed in the car, slept in there, depending on where I'm going and the situation.
Okay.
Either tent or car.
Awesome.
No
Very
RV.
cool. No RV. All right. I'm the same way. I'm just in a tent. What is it about Camp Scholler that has you coming here as opposed to renting a hotel or an Airbnb?
When I came over here last year, I kind of did the whole thing on short notice. I didn't really plan that much ahead, so I didn't really find any hotels anymore. And then sometimes I also camp normally, kind of just to do some hiking and so on. So it's nothing too fancy for me, or nothing too special for me.
Awesome. Very cool. Are there any tips that you might have for somebody that's planning on coming to Camp Scholler and camp at EAA for the first time?
Arrive early.
Yeah.
Even before the official opening. I mean, today is the first day and it's pretty much already completely packed, right?
Yeah.
That's probably, I would say, the main recommendation I would give. Yeah.
Come early.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I might have seen you guys when I first pulled in. Did you see a blue truck kind of circling around?
Yesterday?
No, this morning.
We got here yesterday.
Okay, then you saw me circling around trying to find a place to park.
It might be. A few people kind of circling around in the morning. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got here. We didn't exactly bust the gate because there was no gate, but this field.
Right. When we arrived, nothing was here yet.
This field had not been officially opened by the administration.
Right. Yeah.
and I was circling around over there, and the people were just backing up because they couldn't find a place to camp. So I knew of this field from last year, and I just came out and went. There was no gate down at this other entrance. Well, I guess there was 5 or 6 of us back here, and then some official little Volkswagen pulled up and said, "How'd you guys get in here?" It's like, well, we just drove in. The gate was open. It's like, anyway, so it was a little bit of a mix-up, but they let us stay here last night, and you can see what happened today.
Yeah. So after admitting that you broke into a closed campsite, can you give me your name and where you're from?
My name's Tony Montgomery from Versailles, Indiana.
Awesome. Excellent. And how long have you been camping here?
This is my 4th year.
Excellent. And do you have any tips other than coming early?
I'm okay with coming Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. A friend that I volunteer also here, and I was driving carts, shuttling people this afternoon. One of the people that I talked with said, if you can't come for the whole week, come for the latter half, because people are leaving up closer to the event. Halfway, if they can only stay 2 or 3 days and they came early, then places open up closer to the venue, the event center, or where the activity's going on. So
Excellent. Very cool. Well, thank you very much. That was really cool running into a listener and just by happenstance. Excellent. Awesome. Well, Sasha and Tony, thanks for being my first experiment with this wandering around and interrupting people's dinners. I have some stickers for you guys, so thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your week. That was freaking cool. The first campsite I walk up to. And Sasha, thanks for listening. You absolutely made my night by saying, I just finished listening to your episode about Oshkosh. That was awesome. Let's go see who else we can find. First of all, what's your name and where are you from?
Dave Lighting from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Okay, right down the road then.
Yeah,
awesome.
about 2 hours south of here.
Very cool. And how long have you been coming to Oshkosh?
About 35 years, maybe 40. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep, I have not camped here the whole time, but I've been coming to Oshkosh that long. Yep.
Okay. How long have you been camping?
For about 30 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You have a beautiful trailer here. Is that how you always camped, or did you start with a tent and work your way up?
You know, I started in a van.
Okay.
A 1977 Dodge van. I camped in that.
That's awesome.
And then I moved my way up. Very seldom in a tent because I wanted to keep off the ground because you never know how rainy it's going to get here. Everybody knows how that is. And my son started coming up with me. My son's 30 years old. And he's been coming here for 31 years.
Okay. I see how
you
that
get my drift
out. Yeah, absolutely.
and interesting enough, he works for EAA now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. He's been with EAA about 9 years, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What is it about Camp Scholler that is so much better than just getting an Airbnb or a hotel or just driving up every day?
Because you're right here.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the traffic because there's always traffic coming in, coming out. And there's so much more to AirVenture than just going on the grounds. I mean, that's the main thing. Everybody goes to the grounds to see everything. But then there's the after hours.
Sure.
And everybody has a different thing that they do after hours.
Yeah.
You know, you sit by the campsite, whatever you do, you go down like right now tonight down at Theater in the Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Bert Rutan is down there.
Oh,
We're actually listening to him on the radio.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, normally I would like to go down there, but things just didn't work out that way. But anyways, there's a lot of things. You can go down, watch the movies right down the street from us. We're on 26th, right down the street. You can watch movies. There's just so much. And when you leave the grounds, you lose all that.
Sure.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. Excellent.
So there's nothing wrong with getting an Airbnb because it is. On certain days, it is much more comfortable than being in the campground. I'll admit that. But
sure.
Yeah, there's something to be said about being right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I appreciate the time. I'll let you get back to your night, but thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks so much, Badger, for badgering Camp Scholler. We really appreciate the extra effort that you took and getting you to crawl out of your set a little bit and be uncomfortable and chat with some people. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Obviously, people go to Oshkosh and AirVenture mostly for the on-ground stuff, and I hadn't heard of anybody doing any sort of social media or reporting or anything like that about the campgrounds themselves. So I thought this was kind of a unique take that you'll only get here on the Flying Midwest podcast.
So speaking of interviews, where are we starting in this episode? In the plethora of things we got from Osh this year.
So, well, as mentioned a few minutes ago, we have the F22 demo pilot, RaZZ Larson, in this episode.
We sure
Unfortunately, and I'm sure everybody's upset with this, I was not present for this interview. I am very sad.
I think the really interesting part of this interview for us is the efforts it took to make it happen in the first place. And we talked about this in one of the recap episodes. I can't remember which information it was, but the first day we tried to meet up with him, like due to the awesomeness of the cell phone service that we had at AirVenture with, 500,000 of our closest friends hanging out. Neither of us had cell phone service, and when we tried to connect, it didn't work. But we were able to make it work the next day, and he was very gracious to give us some of his time before he flew that afternoon. But before we do that, I think we have some other business to attend to. Perhaps a sectional showdown?
Yeah. So this sectional showdown is actually brought to us by the one and only and fan of the show, Martin Pauly. As we mentioned during the week, I went to Martin Pauly's seminar about flying little planes into big airports, and Martin Pauly unknowingly provided us with a sectional showdown question. So I will share my screen with you guys. For those of you listening to an audio-only format, which is pretty much all of you, I will describe
it's everyone.
it's everyone. All right, so we're looking at a picture here of Martin Pauly, and I don't actually know what airport this is, but it's the airport diagram of whatever airport this is, and he's pointing specifically at a dashed line that's going across a taxiway. And we'll post this on our Facebook and Instagram so that you guys can all look and see in person not only what Martin Pauly is pointing to, but of course Martin Pauly's beautiful face as well. And give us your best guess what he is actually pointing to here. And I should point out, for those familiar with airport diagrams, there also is a hotspot there that's circled. We're not talking about the hotspot, we're talking about the dashed line across the taxiway. But for you guys, Maddie and Jim, do you have any guesses what this dashed line might be?
Is it the same thing as the dashed line on the other side of the screen that says ILS hold?
It is not.
It's not?
It is not.
Huh. Well, I thought I was going to be all smart and be like, oh, it's right up there, Badger. You didn't see that?
I know what it is, however...
And now I sound like an idiot.
That's okay. I'm about to give the dumbest answer everybody's ever heard. So we know that dash lines indicate, dissipating or breaking up usually. So my opinion, that dash line is a patch of awful concrete that they haven't fixed. And they're warning you, so if you get a busted tire, it's not their fault.
It's like, this is a minimum maintenance road. You're on your own.
I like it.
Clearly I was wrong. I don't have a sarcastic answer because I feel a little ashamed at how much I was going to try to shame Badger, and I just have to eat some crow on this one that I'm wrong.
Caw, it's okay.
So, all right, well, we will post this on our Facebook page for everyone to see, and you can guess, sarcastic or not, what you believe that is. The Sectional Showdown is brought to you by our good friends over at Pilot Quarters. Check them out for your next chart-inspired shirt over at pilotquarters.com. So I suppose it's probably time to run into our news and events for this episode. Anyway.
All right. Well, I can start off the news in quite literally my neck of the woods. In fact, it involves the Republican National Convention TFR, Temporary Flight Restriction Area, which I was technically inside when this happened. However, I was not flying, so I was not in violation of the TFR. But there were...
I was about to give you Brian Kerr's his dope fast pass.
Right. But there were a few pilots that were in violation of this TFR. The one most notably was flying a leg from Indiana in their trip from Florida up to Oshkosh. So they took off in Indiana and flew right through the heart of the temporary flight restriction over the Republican National Convention, and probably right over my head as this happened. And then there were two others as well, one the same day and one the next day, that all three of them were intercepted by NORAD F-35 fighter jets. And actually, Milwaukee local news station, WISN, caught up with the one that was from Florida. And I don't know if I would do this, but he gave an interview to the news.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Amazing.
So, in fairness to him, and I don't think they list his name, and even if they did, I wouldn't say it on here. But he said it was an honest mistake, and he's embarrassed about it. He said he got intercepted by the F-35, and once he saw the F-35 rocking its wings, he thought, quote, "Oh, he's talking to me." And then he was escorted out of the airspace. Ironically, and I think they do this every year at AirVenture, but it seemed to be kind of ironic that they were doing intercept demos as part of the air show early on in AirVenture.
That dude's like, yep, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Exactly.
Well, people are gonna people. It might be you next time.
Sure as hell won't be. I look at my notables or fly.
We're going to go to Iowa, the land of corn and broken AWOSs. Some Iowans will not be seeing their local temperature and dew point weather reports because there are a bunch of AWOS systems, so automatic weather observation systems, that are shut down. The reason for this is the FAA apparently published some new guidelines in early July that say that if there is a malfunctioning AWAS system, it must be disabled. So usually, and if you're a pilot, you know this. So Mom, just for your information, if you see a report that does not have an item and there's a little $sign at the end, it means that something is broken in the system and needs to be fixed. However, with this new guidance, it has to be disabled. 17 of the 61 AWASs in Iowa are managed by the FAA. The other 44 are operated by the Iowa Department of Transportation, which is interesting. Currently, of all of them, 12 are not reporting temperature or dew point, which means they are disabled for now until they can be fixed. They must disable the sensor entirely, and it also must be issued in a report to pilots. The sensors that they need are on back order, so it's going to be a while until all of these can be fixed. There's a list online if you are in Iowa and want to know why the heck you're not getting weather. Hopefully, most of the sensors will be replaced by the fall.
Maddie, did the article mention any alternate weather sites that pilots can use, like linktr.ee or anything like that?
No, but thank you for doing a good thing for the people.
Okay, moving to North Dakota, and specifically the University of North Dakota. The FAA is actually making progress right now in conjunction with UND about helping resolve and lighten the air traffic controller shortage that we have nationwide. So the University of North Dakota, with help from Senator John Hoeven, is partnering with the FAA, and now students who are in the air traffic control program at UND can actually take the air traffic controller exam rather than being sent down to Oklahoma City. Ooh. Yeah, so for those not familiar, the only way controllers have been able to basically get a job as a controller is wherever they're from in the country, they have to go to Oklahoma City to basically go to air traffic control school until potentially the spring of next year, when that might all change, and students can also potentially go to the University of North Dakota and have the same program. Obviously, if somebody lives close to North Dakota and they don't want to travel down to Oklahoma City, this opens that up for them as well. And they're saying that they think the program could eventually grow to accommodate 100 more students per class for air traffic controllers to then go out amongst the land and control traffic.
Oh man, that would be a godsend. Truly, it's so bad.
Yeah, I think that just speaks to overall shortages in jobs all across aviation. I mean, we talk all the time, maybe not on this podcast, but certainly in the community about the pilot shortages that are happening out there. But I don't know that enough attention is being paid to the other areas we have shortages, whether it be the controllers or AMPs. There was a lot of areas that need some help. So,
100%.
I think that's it for news and events.
It's in for news, at least. Can I read some events?
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay?
No. Go read some events.
All right. Events are canceled for the rest of the summer.
No.
Figure out your own flying.
One is not.
All right. Well, say it then.
We have one big event that we need to continue to talk about ad nauseum. We have our first ever Flying Midwest podcast camping fly-in at the Tri-County Regional Lone Rock Airport coming up this month, just a few weeks now, August 23rd through the 25th. We have a lot of really exciting things. We have local celebrity and YouTuber Rich Wellner, who's going to be teaching a camping cooking class, breakfast at Sam's Diner, and it sounds like we might be getting close to having enough people where they might help provide dinner options as well.
Rich is my personal cook.
Yeah, Rich will be all our personal cooks, exactly. The Johnson brothers, who's a world-renowned antique aircraft restoration shop, would potentially be giving a tour and maybe even a workshop. We recently found out that they have Piper Vagabond serial number 1 in their hangar. Ooh. And while it's not obviously in all one piece because they're working on it, it's still there, and it's still a super awesome opportunity to go see a unique piece of aviation history. So if you haven't already RSVP'd, there are multiple ways you can do it. You can email me at thebadgerpilot@gmail.com. You can email us collectively at flyingmidwestpodcast@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on social media and send us a private message there. The best way to keep updated on everything, though, is, of course, to join our Discord community. You can reach out to us, request a link, and we will get you in the Discord so you can keep up with all of the events and happenings for the fly-in. So hopefully we'll see you guys all there, August 23rd through 25th.
Thanks, Badger.
And it is worth noting, too, yes, it is a camping fly-in. However, if you just want to come in for one day, Saturday is the day if you don't want to camp. And if you just want to drive in, walk in, bicycle, doesn't matter. You don't have to fly.
Walk in.
However you need to get here, get there. So we'll see you guys there.
Very cool. Before we continue with this episode, a quick word from those who make the podcast possible. Hey there, aviation friends. I want to tell you about my friends over at Pilot Quarters. This Midwest family-owned business is ready to make your next favorite flying shirt. They offer a wide variety of chart-inspired camp shirts, polos, sundresses, and tees. You can shop by your state, your region, or even reach out to the guys for special requests. They're great shirts, they're great conversation pieces, so check the guys out over at pilotquarters.com today and soar in style. Are you a fan of the podcast that wants to show off your support at your next aviation event? Well, check out our awesome merch. We have t-shirts, hats, and more featuring our vibrant full-color logo. All of our shirts come in a variety of colors so you can find the perfect fit for your style. Head on over to flymidwest.com/merch today to grab yours. We are entering the peak of summer flying season, and that means it's time to upgrade your eyewear with Flying Eyes. These aviation-inspired sunglasses feature a sleek, durable, and impact-resistant design. Their gradient lenses are perfect for pilots, providing maximum ease in reading your instrument panel. Say goodbye to those headache-inducing gas station sunglasses that fit poorly with your headset. Flying Eyes is designed by pilots for pilots to ensure superior comfort, even on the longest flights. Head on down to the affiliate link down in our show notes and enter code FlyingMidwest10 for 10% off your next purchase at Flying Eyes. All right, so that's going to do it for our news and events for this episode. We're going to jump into the interview, which unfortunately, Maddie, we know you weren't able to be a part of. So until the outro, see ya.
Shout out to them, bro. Yep.
All right, welcome to another special edition of the Flying Midwest podcast, live from Oshkosh. We're in the Air Operations Center with a really special interview. We've got Captain RaZZ Larson, the F22 demo pilot, with us. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to make this work. There's been some logistical challenges with cell phone service out here. It's been crazy.
That's a busy place.
It sure
busy
is.
place.
Sure
yep.
is. We're going to start you off with what we do with all of our guests, and that's a series of fast 5 questions. It's kind of just a quick response type of thing. So it's kind of an icebreaker type of thing, and we'll go from there. So first question. Favorite plane you've seen at AirVenture, and you cannot say one that you've flown here.
P-47 Bonnie.
Okay.
Yeah, last year especially, I was taxiing out in the Raptor, and Bernie gave me a lot of haircut passes there, and I really appreciated that. And then seeing the Super Connie as well. It's hard to pick one. I could keep going on a list here, but
I'm sure.
Definitely the Warbirds, the new restorations that show up here. That's been my favorite by far. And if I could fly them, I would. Yep.
All right, question 2. From your perspective, best kept secret of AirVenture?
That's a great question. Our team loves SOS beer tent, but I don't think that's a very big secret anymore with that beacon in the sky. Yeah. You know, I think it's the time when things settle down here. So post-air show, if you get to be on the grounds here when it's not bustling and just appreciate the magic of the place.
Sure.
So a sunrise or a sunset when there's not a lot going on and just take a second to breathe it all in. I think those are the best moments. Those are the ones that I've appreciated here. Yep.
That's awesome. Worst weather experience you've had at AirVenture?
Worst weather? Last year, I was actually out flying a photo flight with Scott Slocum with a Twin Baron, and we came in and landed. I actually had no radios. I had a malfunction, but followed the Twin Baron in to land here. It was pretty congested. Then we had to rush to get the jets in the hangar for the weather rolling in last year. And that was a logistical challenge, but and I know for the folks camping out here, they don't appreciate those storms either. But luckily, like when I was a kid growing up, coming here, usually had good weather, and we've been very fortunate this year. So
it's a beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right, question 4: favorite food or beverage on the grounds?
I have not tried the cheese curd tacos, and that's on my.
We can recommend them.
That's on my bucket list. So after we're done flying today, not before, but afterwards, I'll be making my way over there.
That is a wise decision on your part to do it afterwards. We were there yesterday. The original's good, and you have one like a pickle one, with raspberry something. Right?
They have a pickle one, and apparently the secret is to get it with raspberry sauce.
Oh, there you go. I would not have thought of that.
It seemed like a weird combo to me, but he said it was great. So
excellent.
And the last question we have for you for Fast 5 is, if you could meet anyone in aviation, dead or alive, and have a conversation, who would it be?
Well, it's interesting you asked this question today because I'm actually flying Robin Old's ring with me today during the demo. So his daughter gave that to me this morning to fly in the demo today. I would love to have a chance to chat with him. That's an expansive list of folks I would love to chat with. And going back to AirVenture, guys like Jimmy Franklin, Bobby Yunkin, whose photos are on the wall here in this building. I grew up watching them at air shows. It would be awesome to get to chat with them as well. So there's a lot of folks, and I'm very honored to get to fly Robin Old's ring today.
That is so cool.
That's awesome.
I got chills when you said that. So that is so cool. Well, thanks for playing along with those Fast 5 questions. I'll let you take it away there, Badger.
Can you give us a little bit of a background about yourself and your Midwest roots?
Absolutely. I grew up in Davenport, Iowa. No really aviation or military background in my family, but just happened to live very close to the Davenport Airport where there's an air show every year. And so I grew up watching jets fly over the house, grew up going to the air show every year, and I got hooked immediately at a young age and was completely enamored with aviation and talked to pilots, talked to demo teams, went to air shows all around the Midwest growing up. And then as I got older, started taking pictures for magazines as I was going to those shows when I was in high school. So that was kind of how I got my foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then after high school, went off to the Air Force Academy for college. Got to be a part of the parachute team there while I was a cadet. And then after the Air Force Academy, went to pilot training at Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas. And was very fortunate to get selected to fly Raptors from there. So I've been flying the F22 for about 7 years now. And this is my second year on the demo team.
So you answered a couple questions in one, so that's great. So your Air Force path, the Academy, pilot training, did you have any challenges or rewards along the way that you want to talk about?
Absolutely. And I try to tell that to a lot of folks because it's easy to see someone who's doing the job that you want to do and not know about all the struggle it took to get there. And I would say for everyone's path, you're going to have obstacles, and they're going to be unique to you and failures. There's a lot of failure along the way, especially if you go into the aviation side of the house. You're going to fail a lot. And so I've had my share of failures, times when my back was against the wall. I can think of right after I got F-22s, I was completely stressed out, and go to Intro to Fighter Fundamentals, and struggled early on because I was struggling with overthinking what I was about to go through, and was worrying and wasn't going out and flying like I should be, and really had to step up and have a gut check. And I can think back to many times in this career where I've been in those gut check moments and really outside of my comfort zone. And that's where I think I've grown the most as a person. And so, again, try to tell folks at these shows to not be afraid of that, not be afraid of the failure, and not be afraid of those moments where you get pushed outside of your comfort zone, because that's where you're going to grow and hopefully develop into a better pilot, better person, and keep pushing through those so you'll get to your dream eventually. So
yeah, for sure. So as you're going through pilot training, did you know what kind of aircraft you wanted to fly? I mean, I know that the Air Force kind of selects based on how you perform within your program, things like that, but was the F-22 like the dream plane for you? Or
it was. So growing up, I was all over the place. I wanted to be a Navy pilot. I wanted to be a Blue Angel when I was a kid. I had a little Blue Angel suit when I was really young. But I saw a F-22 demo right after I graduated the Air Force Academy, and right before I went to pilot training. It was actually the Rockford Air Fest. And I had seen the F-22 before, but for some reason that day was different. I seen it really up close, and I was just blown away. And I still get chills thinking about it. That really had a profound impact on me. And so from that point forward, I was like, I want to fly that airplane if I get the opportunity. And every day in pilot training, I would give myself a moment to envision drop night, seeing an F22 on the screen behind me, and that gave me a lot of motivation to go about the daily task you have to go through in pilot training. So,
are you able to tell us how you got your call sign?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about it. So it's a R, lowercase a, and then capital Z's. The AZZ stands for at Kadena. ZZ is the tail flash on Kadena aircraft. So my first trip was with the 525 Fighter Squadron out of Alaska. We went to Kadena, Japan. It was a brand new young fighter pilot. And so they had stories on me. No call signs are all that flattering, and a lot of them are acronyms. So that's what mine stands for. The R has many different meanings, and I got named with a good friend of mine who also showed up when I did, and he got named Taz. So we were RaZZ and Taz.
Oh, that's cool.
This might be a silly question on the call signs, but do those stick with you your whole career, or can that change based on maybe
they can change?
Yeah,
yeah, they can. There's always the threat of being hostily renamed.
Right.
But once you take your call sign in combat, they say it's going to stick.
Okay.
But yeah, there's always a chance that you could get a call sign change, but I'd say that's rare. Yep.
So once you go through pilot training, you get the F-22. What kind of practical experience do you have within the Air Force? You mentioned you went to Kadena. So what kind of experience did you have before the demo team?
So I got to travel quite a bit. In a fighter squadron and an F-22 squadron, you're on the road a lot. I did just over 3 years in Alaska after my F-22 training at Tyndall Air Force Base, which is no longer an F-22 training base. But we got to go from Alaska, a lot of trips all throughout Indo-Pacific, and a lot of exercises, all that kind of stuff. A lot of sitting alert, intercepting Russian aircraft off the coast, doing that kind of stuff. And then I did, after my Alaska tour, about 1.5 years at Langley, same thing, on the road a lot, and over in Europe, over in the Middle East, and then I got hired for the demo job. So my whole time, it's been on the road a lot, and that's been phenomenal. Phenomenal experience traveling with a fighter squadron or traveling with the demo team. You're traveling with phenomenal people, always surrounded with really, really great folks, whether it's pilots or maintainers. And so that's been a great experience. It's been a great adventure. So
great.
Can you tell us a little bit about the selection process for the demo team?
Absolutely. In order to apply for the demo position, you have to be an instructor pilot, which usually takes about 4 to 5 years of experience and seasoning in the jet. Now, you start off as a wingman, get mission qualified at your unit, and then you go through a 2-ship flight lead upgrade, a 4-ship flight lead upgrade, and then everyone's trying to get through the instructor pilot upgrade. And the instructor pilot upgrade is the one that takes the longest. But once you have completed that, your doors are open to apply for things like weapons school or test pilot school or for the demo position. So for the demo job, they open it up to all instructor pilots F-22 fleet-wide. And then those applicants usually travel to Langley, interact with the team, do a lot of interviews. The wing commander at Langley ultimately owns that position to select the pilot on behalf of COMAC for that demo team. And so it's kind of your standard selection of interviews, and then all your flight records, everything you've done up to this point in the Air Force is reviewed. And again, very fortunate that it worked out, that I got to do this job.
So once you're selected, what does that look like from there? Like, as far as is there a training process you go through to learn the maneuvers for the demo? How does that work?
There is a training process in place, so a formal upgrade syllabus. I started traveling with the team in the fall once I was hired, so you get to see how the team operates on the road and start to learn how this world works, because it's very different from day-to-day Air Force ops. And in that time, also start training. The previous demo pilot is your instructor, and you go through a 21-flight upgrade syllabus. The first couple of flights are out over the water, high altitude, just running through the profile, learning the maneuvers. And then we go back to Langley Air Force Base, and you start with arbitrary floors and step your way down. So 2,000-foot floor, 1,500, 1,500, and finally surface. In there, you'll get a couple off-station practices to get used to flying in different places. And then at the end of it, it's 3 certification flights. So wing commander certification, 2-star general, and then the 4-star commander of Air Combat Command certifies you to fly the demo. So that's flight number 21 is that certification. From there, then you're certified as demo. You can practice, and then we go out to the Heritage Flight Conference in March. That's where we get certified by the FAA and by the 4-star to fly in the Heritage formations.
Okay.
So during the air shows, it looks like you're really pushing both the plane and yourself to the edge of its capabilities, at least from our standpoint. Is there some safety margin pushed in that you can do more with the plane in a combat situation, or are you really keeping yourself sharp and pushing it to the limit?
No, there absolutely is a safety margin built in, and so our whole profile is built such that I could lose an engine or I'd have a catastrophic flight control malfunction, something major, and still recover the airplane. So at no point during the demo should I be reaching for the ejection handle. If I had an engine fail and I'm going 0 knots, we have the altitudes and the airspeeds built in such that I'm going to recover on the one functioning engine, fly that aircraft out of the maneuver, and then land. So it's all built around safety. We could ring it out more without those restrictions, but we adhere to that because obviously we're not willing to lose a Raptor in a demo flight. And every maneuver we do is scripted, has altitude and airspeed parameters for entry and exit, and it's all built around safety.
I imagine as the season goes on, it's a fairly grueling schedule you guys have. So what does the day in the life of a demo pilot look like?
So it varies. We definitely we go through some really high-stress portions of the season. We do about 25 to 30 events a year, at least while I've been on the team. And so we've been able to push it up a little bit in these 2 seasons that I've been in the seat, which has been wonderful. We love going on the road. But it is definitely tiring. Fatigue sets in over, for example, this week we're at Oshkosh. We were at a show in New York. We went direct from that show in New York, took the jets to Langley, got on a commercial flight to Alaska, did a show in Alaska, multiple flights per day there, and then Sunday after our demo got on a flight here overnight to get to Chicago, getting rental cars, doing all that stuff, driving up to Oshkosh, getting all our logistics in place, getting the aircraft here, and then immediately start flying once or twice per day here, and then we're leaving tomorrow morning to go to Fargo, North Dakota. We'll land there, do a quick air boss brief, and fly a demo tomorrow in Fargo, and then fly demos throughout the weekend. And so it's definitely busy. And our overall team's mission is we want to be as available as possible everywhere we go to execute that outreach mission. We want to take people out to the jets. We want to inspire folks just like we were inspired when we were youngsters. And so we definitely push ourselves, and we're at a show. Between the air boss briefings, our flight briefings, and our flying, we're trying to maximize that outreach as a team. And so we definitely tire folks out. We push folks. We're usually at a show from gates open till well after gates close, trying to do that outreach mission. But it's something we all believe in, and that's what keeps us going, even through the tiring times of the season, because you never know which interaction might be one that sticks and has a positive impact or changes someone's life. So,
with this position, obviously there's a whole team that supports you as well. So do you have a command function as well within that, or how does that structure work?
We absolutely do. Yep. So as the pilot for an ACC demo team, you are the commander of the team.
Okay.
But we also have a senior enlisted leader, a superintendent, and then we have a team chief who's essentially our maintenance lead of the team. And from there we have crew chief, specialist, aircrew, flight equipment, public affairs, all on the team. So in total, we're a 14-member team. We travel with 10 folks everywhere we go. But absolutely, there's that command structure. But I rely heavily on our superintendent and team chief to make this thing happen, and then individual and team efforts to make this thing happen. It's by no means a one-man show. And so anytime that jet gets in the air, it's that group of people who made that happen. And for the F22 demo team, we don't have our own jets like other demo teams. We borrow each and every weekend different aircraft. So here at Oshkosh, we have 2 of the oldest F22s built. And for our maintainers, they don't get to learn and become familiar with those jets. And we're borrowing them off the lines from different squadrons. And so we don't know what we're going to get on the road. And every once in a while, and it's happened a lot this year, we'll have jets with issues. And our maintainers have to make some incredibly miraculous things happen in order to get those demos accomplished, and they've pulled it off. We've never canceled. And again, it's a testament to that teamwork and those individual efforts that they put in to get these jets in the air safely.
I think it's great that you cover too that it's not just a one person thing. I know that like the crowd and fans, they see you as the face of that team, but there's so much more that goes into it. So
absolutely.
Assuming all the jets are airworthy and in good shape and ready to go, are there any unique quirks with each one you have to learn, or are they pretty consistent from plane to plane?
Consistent flyers, I would say. All the jets fly the same, just different how they break. And there are some quirks, and you'll see, and it's minor stuff, like we have throttle friction that we use, and I usually turn that up because I'm going to do a lot of put it in that max afterburner and leave it there.
Yeah.
But if that throttle friction doesn't work, and it's such a small component to worry about, a lot of times when I'm under heavy G, I will grab a towel rack, we call it, in the cockpit to brace myself in a body position for that G-force. So my left hand won't be on the throttles, and under heavy G, those throttles can slide back. And if we have one engine in max afterburner and one not, that asymmetric thrust can be a real problem. And so every once in a while, we'll find a jet like that, and that's just a small example of stuff we have to watch out for with different airplanes all the time. But yeah, we've seen some really weird stuff. Again, most of the time it's just small little quirks, but they all fly the same, which is nice. Yep.
So what do you see as some of the biggest rewards and challenges of your role?
For rewards, this is probably the most rewarding job I've ever done, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity. And again, it's the interactions you have with folks where you walk away and you say, that might be my replacement someday, or someone on the team might be doing that job. And so it's really neat to be in this role where we can share what we get to do and hopefully inspire others. And again, we're not recruiters. We don't brand ourselves as a recruiting function. We're out here to share our story and inspire folks to set goals for their lives. And if they are interested in doing this, we love talking about it. So the interactions we've had, by far the most rewarding part of this job. For challenges, it really does come down to logistics and getting the team where they need to be, when they need to be there, the equipment we need. We travel, a lot of times the team travels on commercial flights with about 30 Pelican cases, and that's all we have on the road.
Wow.
So we really are going out with two jets, $300 million worth of aircraft, and having to make it happen with very little support. And again, that's why we really need the right people for this team. And I'm very thankful, and I can say that we do have the right people on the team, and it's an honor to work with them.
The next question I want to ask you is about the maneuvers themselves. So do you have a favorite?
So overall, I'd say dedication pass is my favorite maneuver. One, it's great to fly, but the meaning behind it and why we do it. And so the why behind that maneuver is what makes it my favorite. Another one I like doing in the demo is the power loop. That's just an interesting sensation from the cockpit of the jet because we're using that thrust vectoring. The jet's backflipping so quickly. I get a weightless sensation there. So initial onset of G pushing me down, and then go weightless because the nose is just tracking so fast, opposite of the direction of the velocity vector of the aircraft. So it's kind of a neat feeling up there. And then I love doing the tack pitches anytime we're just putting the burners towards the crowd and pulling a lot of G. It's fun. So.
Is there a maneuver that you think is most challenging?
I would say one of our more challenging maneuvers is the tail slide, and that can be, we try to do that maneuver anytime we have, there's clouds in the area or weather conditions or winds that can affect the jet. And so I have to plan my entry into that maneuver such that if there's clouds out there, I'm going to apex, so the jet's going to stop midair below the clouds, and that's tough to forecast when you're flying around in the demo. And then when I go zero airspeed, I'm about 70 degrees nose high. The jet really turns into a giant kite. Very susceptible to the wind, even though it's a 60,000-pound airplane. It's massive surface area, and that'll get pushed by the wind. So you have to plan for that as well. I'm actually flying with the flight test HUD every demo so that I can see a readout of yaw. And if that yaw starts to increase beyond tolerances, I'm pushing over immediately to recover. And you have to be quick with that because otherwise you could get in a bad spot if you let that yaw build too much. So that's a challenging one. It's also a lot of fun. And anytime we have weather out there or clouds, I really get the sensation once I get going. We go about 80 miles per hour in reverse on that I'm falling. And that's that's a unique one, and that's not something you just go out and do on a daily basis in an F22. A lot of the other maneuvers I'm fairly used to from our BFM, our dogfighting, for doing that for years. So, yeah.
We end each episode with asking about an aviation-related unpopular opinion or hot take. Do you have any unpopular opinions?
That's a tough one. Yeah. What are some of those answers in the past?
Some of the answers have been one of my favorites because I just think it's funny is tail dragger doesn't make you a better pilot, just makes you better at taxiing on the ground. There's been a lot of discussion on FAA medical reform. There's been some on technology in the flight deck, things like that.
Yeah.
Straight-in approaches versus flying the pattern, stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a tough one. That might be one I'd have to think on for a while. I don't think I have too many hot takes. I will say this because I'm speaking on behalf of the F-22. We get asked all the time, the Raptor's being retired and all this stuff. Or we get asked, the F-35's there to replace the F-22. Because there's a lot of articles that misconstrue what's actually happening. And so the Raptor is going to be around for a while. There's been a lot of talk about divesting our oldest jets, our non-combat coded Block 20s, which we're actually flying here at the show this weekend. So I think people see that and say, the Raptor's going to be gone here in a year. And a lot of youngsters are like, I'll never get to fly the F-22 because it's going away. It's not the case, actually. I was out at Edwards working on our new maneuvers this year and got to see all the shiny new toys that we're getting on the F-22 for years to come. Raptor's going to be the first jet to field and has already successfully shot the newest missile in the U.S. arsenal. And so we're getting a lot of technology on the F-22 to keep it around for years and years to come. And we're testing a lot of stuff for the 6th generation fighter. I'm just here to tell folks, and the young folks who are coming up through the ranks, you'll have the opportunity to fly the F-22, and you probably also have the opportunity to fly its follow-on. A lot of misconceptions out there about what's going to happen to the F-22s.
Yeah, that is certainly out there. I've heard that myself too, so interesting to know.
Well, before Jim closes us out, I want to personally thank you. I mentioned before recording you were my daughter's favorite part last year, and they're coming up tomorrow, so I know they can't wait to see you fly again the rest of the week. And we've interviewed a lot of really cool people throughout the week. This is the first time I've actually been kind of starstruck, so I appreciate the time.
I appreciate your time, and thanks for including me on this. And it's been a wonderful week here at Oshkosh, so I'm thrilled we got a chance to do this.
Yeah. So as we wrap up here, again, thank you so much for being a part of this, and I'm glad we were able to make this work out. And enjoy the rest of the show. Can't wait to watch you this afternoon.
Excellent. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again to Captain RaZZle Larson for joining us on this episode of the Flying Midwest Podcast, as well as his crew for helping put that together for us.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the interview, this was the one interview all week I was legitimately starstruck, but no need to be. The theme we've talked about with him before is just how humble he is, which for somebody doing that many incredible things with an airplane and putting his body through incredible amounts of G's to be able to just sort of basically relax and hang out, essentially is what it was super cool.
All right, so we have 2 interviews out there from AirVenture. We have 9 to go. So what's next, Badger?
Next we have TH, who is a controller in the Midwest for his day job, but he of course came out to Oshkosh to work the Fisk arrival and all the different positions of the Oshkosh NOTAM, or notice, I should say. He goes by TH because that's how controllers do it. They go by initials, affectionately known as the pink shirt, and we will find out all the unique aspects about the Fisk arrival, the Oshkosh notice, and what all goes into a day in the life of being a pink shirt.
It is really informative about the team approach that goes into that, so you want to check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so before we go, just a quick reminder of how you can reach out to us if you are interested in contacting us, saying hey, or if you've got an idea for an episode, you can contact us at our website, flyingmidwest.com, via the email machine, flyingmidwestpodcast@gmail.com, or any of our social medias, which you can find down in our show notes.
don't forget, Jim may not mention it, but I am going to. If you're interested in supporting us, consider becoming a patron over on our Patreon. Yeah, if you were listening, you know the levels. So if you have one picked out, please go visit us there. Give us money. No.
Money, please.
I like how you said if you were listening, you know the tiers. If they're not listening, they're not supporting us. So.
Well, you know, if you forgot, you need to go over to Patreon and go look and also go support us. Don't forget, even though Oshkosh may be over, you can still wear our super cool merch. And as it gets cooler, we have a lot of cool sweatshirts and long sleeves and things. So definitely go look at those and buy them and wear them and love them.
Polos and hoodies and tees. Oh, my.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't forget to come to our fly-in at the end of this month, August 23rd through 25th, 2024, Tri-County Regional Lone Rock Airport. See you all there.
The sooner you say you're coming, the sooner we can stop hearing Badger talk about it. I'm kidding. Be there, be square.
Yellow square at or beyond.
The yellow square. All right, thanks.
All right.
I was waiting for you.
Thanks again, everybody, for your continued support and listening. Of course, be sure to hit like, rate, review in all of your favorite podcast players. And, of course, hit follow and subscribe as well so you don't miss a thing. Thanks again, everybody. And until next time.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
Flight 536, contact Minneapolis Center 132.35. Good day.
Thanks so much for joining us on the Flying Midwest podcast. Until next time, podcast service terminated, squawk VFR, frequency change approved. Good day.
Well, he's down in Burns, Kansas, so Burns Bug Smasher Grinder. Birds Bug Murderer. I don't know.
Kill all the bugs.
Birds beats Battlestar Galactica.
No, Burns, B-U-R-N-S, not birds. And that's bears.
It's bears.
It works.
No.
We beat that joke to death, so.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim.
That's
James, Jimothy. Can I call you Jim?
All right.
For all of you who don't know, I basically KO'd my computer by slapping a fly, and it died.
Well,
the fly and your computer.
Yeah.
The fly died, and my computer died at the same time. It was quite the event. It was tragic. I revived it, though. We're good.
Okay.
The computer, not the fly.
No, the fly is dead. The fly is very flat.
All right, thanks for not trying to revive the fly.
So you and Delbert have a lot in common. You both smash bugs. Down in Kansas.
Correct. Except for he used his airplane.
Yes.
And everybody else who's in here that we haven't mentioned by name, thank you so much for being supporters of the podcast.
What are we doing here? What is this called?
Great question.
This is called Rambling, and I think we should have ended this about 3 minutes ago.
One of my daughters asked if somebody closed the garage.
I
don't know. I'm down
You
in
gotta
the
have the set garage door closed. Yeah. That's important. You don't want any other intruders coming in. Mm-hmm. Whatever the natural predator of the badger is.
We have no predators.
In a little segment we'd like to call... Frick. I don't have anything. Something cool like that.
Something we'd like to call... What the hell are you doing in my campground?
Yeah.
Get out of my
Something
state.
I'd like to call Badger... or... Badgering Scholler.
Yes!
And then I'd look at Camp Scholler.
That's better than anything I could have come up with.
Housekeeping, I took out the one about the German pilots because it just said, they're okay, and that's it.
But they got wet. Okay.
Well, that's notable, though. How...
I don't like how I did that. It says my name right there.
I know, but as I'm thinking about it, as we were talking about our favorite things, I think I briefly threw it out there that,
yes.
Oh, that's who's in this interview.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we could do the
it's
corporate
that.
speed,
No, I said
as
that.
mentioned in my previous email, as in read my email.
That's going in. Just as is. I'm not even cutting anything. It's not even going to the blooper reel.
See, so the notes say Badger, pump up the interview, and just all the wind is out of our sails now.
Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
I don't care.
If he,
Oh, okay.
his Badger's like
Thank you for
asleep.
your
He doesn't even know what we just said.
My brain
Where
is
am I?
in, like, the next county, so...
Oh.
Okay. Also, friendly rider. Ew, what the hell is that? Ew. Sorry. I'm so sorry. There was like a worm on my screen. I'm sorry. My house is infested. Gross. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Anyone knows a good exterminator? Maddie's down in Kansas.
Yeah.
Don't slap it.
The Burns Bug Smasher. Call him up.
I squished it instead of slapping it, so
It just
worked
must be
out
a
better.
Kansas thing. All right, sorry.
We have no predators.